The arrest of legendary jiu-jitsu coach Melqui Galvao in connection with serious criminal allegations sent shockwaves through the grappling world. But for his star student, Diogo Reis, the news was a cataclysm. Just days before a high-stakes match in one championship, Reis heard the news from half a world away and hit his breaking point. To get why this was such a huge deal for Diogo Reis, you first have to understand the world he came from. Before he was a big name in jiu-jitsu, he was just a kid from Manaus, a sprawling city carved out of the Amazon rainforest. In Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Manaus is more than a place. It's a symbol of a relentless, tough, and unorthodox style of grappling. And for the better part of a decade, one man was seen as its chief architect, Melqui Galvao. Galvao's academy wasn't just a gym, it was a legendary talent factory. In a region with few opportunities, it was a beacon, churning out a seemingly endless conveyor belt of world-class athletes. And among all the stars forged in that tough environment, one shone brightest: Diogo Reis, the baby shark. Reis was, by every definition, a prodigy. He started training around 10 years old, and by 13, his path crossed with Galvao's. That connection would define his life. Galvao wasn't just a coach who taught moves, he was a mentor in the deepest sense of the word. He guided Reis from a kid with raw potential through the colored belts, where he racked up a staggering number of titles, including multiple IBJJF World Championships at the juvenile level. He was the one who awarded Diogo his brown belt, and then, in December 2020, his black belt. For an athlete like Reis, this relationship is everything. In combat sports, the bond between a fighter and their head coach is sacred. It's a partnership built on total trust, shaping everything from daily training to career strategy. For Reis, Melqui was the foundation his entire professional life was built on. He was the guide and father figure who had navigated his journey from an unknown boy in Manaus to a two-time ADCC world champion and a star in one championship. The system worked, and the results were undeniable. And then, in April 2026, that foundation didn't just crack, it was obliterated. News reports surfaced out of Brazil, sending a shockwave through the jiu-jitsu community. Melqui Galvao had been arrested in Manaus. This wasn't a minor issue. He was the subject of an investigation into extremely serious allegations. Reports, citing sources from the investigation, claimed the case involved sexual offenses, with some alleged victims being minors. As the case proceeded under judicial secrecy, the information was explosive. For the outside world, it was a shocking scandal. But for Diogo Reis, it was a cataclysm. The architect of his life was gone. The gym he called home was in chaos. And he wasn't even in the country. He was on the other side of the planet, in Thailand, just days away from a fight, when his world turned upside down. The time difference between Thailand and Brazil is about 10 hours. For Diogo Reis, that gap made his confusion even worse. He described the experience in a later interview, painting a picture of total isolation. "I'm 10 hours ahead of Brazil," he explained. "So when I'm going to sleep, things happen. News is coming and I'm like, what the hell?" While he was trying to prepare for a major bout in one championship, his phone was blowing up with news that felt impossible. The mentor he had trusted for a decade was at the center of a criminal investigation. His team, his family, was fracturing. The questions racing through his mind weren't just emotional, they were deeply practical. Where should I go? What am I going to do? I don't have my coach anymore. I don't have the gym anymore. This was the sound of a young man whose entire support system had just vanished. His game plan, his weight cut, his mental focus, all of it had been managed by a system that no longer existed. He was completely adrift. The pressure mounted. He was scheduled to compete in front of millions at the legendary Lumpini Boxing Stadium in Bangkok. But how could he fight? How could he possibly find the focus for elite combat when his personal world was in a freefall? He hit his breaking point. He called his manager and friend, Tom DeBlas. The message was desperate. As Reis recounted, "I told Tom DeBlas to cancel this fight. I was thinking of pulling out. The prodigy, the baby shark known for hunting opponents, was ready to surrender. The emotional trauma, the public scandal, the uncertainty, it was all too much. Canceling the fight felt like the only way to breathe." But Tom DeBlas refused. He understood the weight on Reis's shoulders, but he also saw the bigger picture. According to Reis, DeBlas's response was firm but encouraging. "No, keep going, let's go," DeBlas told him. "It's not you, you can do it." That conversation was a lifeline. It was a critical intervention from a new source of mentorship. In the absence of Galvao, DeBlas and his team stepped in. They reminded him of who he was, independent of any one coach or gym. A choice had to be made, and fast. He could withdraw and try to piece his life back together in private. Or he could do the one thing he was trained to do: fight. Not for a title, not for a paycheck, but for himself. He had to prove that his identity as a champion was his own. He made his choice. He would walk into the lights of Lumpini Stadium. Diogo made his decision, a choice that would set the course for his professional life. Stories of resilience like this, where an athlete has to dig deeper than ever, are why we love combat sports. It's about more than just technique. It's about the human spirit. If you appreciate these stories that go beyond the headlines, please take a moment to support the channel by hitting that like button and subscribing. It's a small click for you, but it lets us keep bringing these journeys to light. Now back to how Diogo Reis faced his defining moment. The night of the fight arrived. As Diogo Reis walked to the ring, the match against Yuki Takahashi was more than just grappling. It was a physical manifestation of his internal war. He wasn't just fighting Takahashi, he was fighting the despair and confusion that had consumed his life. From the opening bell, Reis fought with a chilling purpose. He channeled the turmoil into relentless, suffocating pressure, controlling the match from start to finish. When the final bell rang, the result was a clear, unanimous decision in his favor. His hand was raised, but this victory felt different. It was a profound, visible, emotional release. He had done it. In his post-fight comments, he spoke about how the victory was about overcoming the issues in his personal life, about being forced to change everything in just a few weeks. He had survived, but survival was just step one. What's next was still a huge question. In the aftermath of the news about Galvao, Reis had issued a statement acknowledging his former coach's role in his life, but he also clearly called for a full investigation and stated that he repudiated any form of violence. It was soon clear that staying with the old team structure wasn't an option. Reis announced he was leaving for good, explaining that the scale of the facts that had come to light went against his principles and values. It was a painful but necessary break from the past. This left him at an even bigger crossroads. As a two-time ADCC world champion, he could have moved to the US and joined any of the world's elite super teams like New Wave. It would have been the logical, easy path. He chose the hard path. Diogo Reis decided to stay in Brazil. He turned down the comfort of an established system to do something far riskier: build his own. The crisis hadn't just forced him to survive, it forced him to evolve. He was no longer just a product of a system. He was becoming the architect of his own. He announced his new brand, his new team, his new identity, Team Baby Shark. Reports even noted his rash guard for the fight featured a logo with the words Team Baby Shark Loading, a quiet declaration of independence. He revealed plans to open his own gym in Brazil, a place where he would not only forge his own future, but also guide the next generation. He mentioned he already had students he would be coaching for the World Championships. The prodigy was becoming the mentor. The story of Diogo Reis is no longer just about a baby shark hunting for prey. It's about a man who, after losing his entire ocean, decided to build his own. What do you think of Diogo Reis' decision to forge his own path in Brazil instead of moving to an established super team? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And for more stories that go beyond the mats, make sure you're subscribed to the channel.